Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today we have Othania joining us. Hey, Othania.
Hey.
Hey, guys, we have a really exciting video. Jerry's here. Jerry, I said wait. Wait. Oh, my goodness.
Jerry's
Just can't
back.
stop, right? So we have a video on how third parties are created and how to get rid of them. So yeah, Jerry was in the closet. I found him. I brought him down. He's been upstairs for a while. So yeah, we're going to dive into that, guys. Just before we do, Othania's got coaching 50% off right now. She is an amazing coach. She is getting lots of great results with her clients. And yeah, we also have a free course, how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. Yeah, we give it away for free because it'll help you actually create your mental diet, because you know what, this is what it's all about, is our thoughts and where we focus our thoughts. And, you know, and our 3D is just a reflection of our thoughts and our assumptions, right? So, and yeah, we're also having a giveaway to reward you guys for being amazing subscribers. When we get to 100,000 subscribers, we are having a giveaway where we are giving away 3 free coaching sessions, 1 to each person. To enter, all you need to do is subscribe, share our videos and tag us in it, and as well, comment, what have you manifested using the law of assumption? I think it's so great when we share what we've manifested, because, you know, something that seems so big to somebody else and they see that you manifested it, it inspires and motivates them. And you know what, I really see us as a family and a community supporting each other, helping each other. You know, that's why we come on and do videos every day and shorts and that sort of thing, to share and to motivate and to support, because it helps me too when I do these videos, and I intend it helps you guys as well. So yeah, let's dive into it. So I'm excited. So Othania, let's start us off with how third parties are created.
So they usually stem from a living place, a dwelling place within you that doesn't feel good enough, right? So say you come across someone that you want to be in a connection with, whether friendship, whatever, and you may feel like you're not good enough to be this person's friend, or when it's with someone romantic, you may feel like there's someone else that might be around that might provide something better for you, or you start comparing yourself and you dwell in that, and you don't change that. You just sit there for the most part dominantly, and then when time goes on, next thing you know, what shows up in your reality is a third party, because what you was feeling previously a little while before that wasn't good enough for the experience that you actually wanted.
You know, it's so true. It comes from, you know, the feeling of insecurity. Just a little success story from my past. So I remember when I first started dating Andrew, I wasn't really, you know, secure in the story that he wanted to be with me and that I was good enough to be in a relationship with. And I remember one Friday he like canceled plans with me, and I thought, oh my God, what happens? And I knew he had an ex-girlfriend that he was on and again and on again, off again with, on again and off again with, right? Like so I remember hearing about that from him, because we talked about our previous relationships. And so I thought, oh my God, what happens if he got on with his on again girlfriend and off again girlfriend? And then I was like, oh God, okay, no, you know what? He's going to like, you know what? We're going to hook up. We're going to go out on Saturday. It's fine. We're going to see each other this weekend. So I got back on my mental diet. Sure enough, we saw each other like the next day or something, and we're out for dinner at this pub. And I remember it so vividly. We were sitting there and the honey garlic wings just hit the table, and he grabbed the wing and he's like, oh, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what? Like just the way he said it, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, oh my God, what does he need to tell me? Right. Like he was like, so he's like, my ex-girlfriend called me the other day. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay. In that moment, I was like, tell him, like, he didn't pick up. He didn't talk to her. He doesn't want to talk to her. He didn't pick up. Like, I really had to be on my thoughts in that moment, because, you know, like I just thought this, like that she called him, like they've got together. And now I don't want to, okay, now I hear that she did call. Okay. So that part manifested. So in that moment, I'm like, he didn't answer. He didn't want to talk to her. He didn't answer. He didn't want to talk to her. And I'm like, yeah, go on. Right. Like trying not to be Mrs. Jealous over here. Right. And all of a sudden he says, but I didn't answer it. He's like, because I didn't want to. He's like, I'm done with that. And I was like, oh, I'm like, okay. I'm like, awesome. Right. So, you know, we create it. Like now, I'll even give an example just from today. Okay, so this week on Wednesday, I'm actually going out swimming and and Andrew is actually, he goes to his office, so he's going to his office during the day, and then he's got a client meeting at 5 o'clock, right? And I said, well, I'm going out swimming. I'm like, do you want me to, like, pre-make you something for dinner? Because I'm the chef of the house and I'm a really good cook and I spoil him. That's my job, is to cook. So I said, do you want me to make you a plate of spaghetti or something so you can just pop it in the microwave when you get home from your client meeting? He's like, I'm probably just going to go out to dinner with my client. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is this a girl? Like, is this what the hell? He's going out for dinner with a client. I'm like, is this appropriate? Is this professional? And now I'm like, I'm to stop. Because I'm picturing him at this Earl's, with some red wine, and like some chick sitting there. Like, I mean, in what world do you go out for dinner with your client as a lawyer? So I'm freaking out. Then I'm like, Amanda, you need to stop. But this time it doesn't come from, like, I don't think I'm good enough. My thought was, well, what happens if he's getting bored with me? Like, we've been together 8 years, right? But then I was like, no, right? I'm like, no, it's nothing serious. It's probably just coffee shop. He's probably just going to get fast food because we've been on a diet. So he's probably happy to have a cheat day, right? And have me out of his hair from making him eat salad, right? So sure enough, this morning he elaborated more. I offered, do you want that plate, made up? And, and he was like, well, actually, he's like, oh, I'm going to Tim Hortons coffee shop. So he's like, I'm probably just gonna have something there. He's like, and then he just offers up out of nowhere, I'm gonna be at this Tim Hortons at this time. And I was like, okay, phew, right? Like, why am I ever worried? But it can happen at any time, whether it stems from me not feeling like I'm good enough or just having the thought, like, it was just a thought, like, maybe he is, right? I mean, it's like, do I feel like I'm good enough now? Absolutely. I mean, we've been married a long time. I was just thinking this morning how great it is to have this emotional connection and had those vows and had this official wedding. So it could be just as simple as just a quick thought,
Right.
Gotta catch it.
The thing is, you don't want to ride the thought, because once you ride that wave of it, it's like, next thing you know, boom, it's the experience of it. And then it's like you feel like you've been attacked or something, like like everything is turning upside down, but you just rode the wave of that thought instead of getting aware and catching it and be like, nope, my person wants me. My person only wants to be with me. And like, talk to yourself like, why would I even think that, or laugh it off? Like, I don't know if you guys are like Harry Potter fans, but I love Harry Potter. And I don't know which movie it was in, but there's a part when there's like this scary thing that comes out of the closet that scares them. But when you laugh at it, it just disappears. And I forgot what it's called. If anybody remembers the name of it, put it in the comments, because I forgot the name of it. But it's like, whatever you're afraid of, it comes out of the closet and it scares you. But you take the power away from it when you laugh at it. And when you laugh at it, it like just turns away into this little thought that just like flies away and you never see it again.
Exactly. When you create something and you just acknowledge it for what it is and laugh at it and don't have that negative and really like resistance towards it, right? You know what I mean? Having the resistance towards it, whatever you resist is going to persist. So you've just got to accept what you've created. Like, it's there. Oops, you know what? It's just as easy as you've created it. You can get rid of it. If you're neutral, there's just no room for emotions in manifesting, because everything is empty and meaningless, and you're just supposed to be the observer. But then sometimes we get carried away and we start to become, the main character, and we start to play out all those emotions, right? And as soon as we do that, like, it was empty and meaningless for me to think that, back when Andrew's ex called him and they were going to get to, and they maybe wanted to get back together, it was empty and meaningless. But then as soon as I hear it and it manifests in my reality, I make it mean that I'm not good enough, and it's like, whoa, no. It meant nothing. It was a thought I had, if we have thoughts and they don't make us feel good in the moment, we need to stop them. Because if they're not going to make us feel good in the moment that we're having them, they're definitely not going to make us feel good when they manifest.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it, because it does not feel good once that pops up as an actual experience for you. So you just want to always feel good enough. And how do you feel good enough? You just consistently have the opposite thoughts of what you're fearing. You picture what you actually want. You picture yourself going on dates. You picture your person want to plan dates with you. You picture yourself feeling good enough, feeling happy, because in the beginning of the relationship, when you first manifested them in, you were you didn't have a story with them. You just knew you liked that person, you were attractive, you were feeling good about yourself, and the stories didn't really create until probably some time, or usually or sometimes right away, depending. um Once you hit that fear, when that first thought of what could go wrong, once you get that first thought of what can go wrong, and you create a second thought after that, then a third thought, then a fourth thought, and you don't stop it, that is how 3Ps begin to get created. Because next thing you know, the more you dwell on those thoughts, now you're in a state. And when you're in a state, you are automatically compelled to take actions in that state. And next thing you know, it's like unraveling right before your eyes. So you could definitely just have to be careful and just be aware of what you're thinking in relation to what it is you want.
Well, and this is it. I've got a friend who's, who was very negative, and I'd be like, let's go for dinner, and then they would be like, oh, but there's going to be a long lineup and a wait list, and I was like, wow, you know what? I'm like, you're already getting angry over something that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
It's like, oh my goodness, it's like, tell yourself, like, I'm good enough to manifest what I want. I'm good enough to be the priority. I'm good enough to be in a relationship where my SP wants to be with me and only me, and when you are finding yourself going down that hole and that spiral, just stop yourself. What I do is I say, hey, Amanda, everyone is you pushed out and my thoughts create. Okay. So, and then I also refer back to something that I may have manifested recently, just to kind of bring myself back into that state, because to change your state, you just need to change your thoughts, and that'll automatically change your state. Like, for instance, my mom came over and she was talking about raccoons, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, that's cool seeing a raccoon. I'm like, I'd like to see a raccoon. I'm not kidding. An hour later, it's like 1:00 in the afternoon, daytime, a raccoon's in the backyard. I'm like, oh, where's the raccoon? It's like, he's supposed to be sleeping, but he's like, nope, I need to be up and showing myself to Amanda because she's ordered a raccoon,
Right.
And it's like, and then that moment I'm like, and I think about that, I'm like, oh my God, anything's possible. So you just need to stop yourself. And if it manifests, it's like, okay, good. At least it's out of the way. Now I can change it, and write the new story. Okay. So the third party and your SP don't want to be together anymore because your SP really wants to be with you, and they break up mutually, and she goes and finds someone else, or he goes and finds someone else. And, so it's like a story that you're writing. So write it and feel good about it as you're writing it,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And when your person, like I always say, whether they're around you or whether whether they're not around you or are around you, just always have the thoughts that you're good enough for your person and your relationship, and any relationship that you want to have, that you're always good enough. Just never dwell in the thoughts of not being good enough. When you say that you're always good enough, and you can say that every day, you're also revising at the same time, because you're always good enough. That's always, in every way, that you're going to be good enough. The more you say that and you don't backtrack and say something else opposing to that, as long as you keep that up, you'll see a consistency of what it is that you actually do want.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I do that. I'll create a mantra. I remember for the longest time, I'd be like, Andrew is going to propose to me because we live together. It's like we're already married, and I'm good enough, and that was basically my little mantra for, ever since we got, and, we moved in together to getting married. That was every time I thought about it, or anytime that he actually did say something in the 3D, like we'd watch a movie about people getting married, and I'd be like, oh, I've never been married. I want to get married. He's like, I'm never getting married again. I would just go, that's okay, and I would just go back to my mantra, because, really there was no point with me fighting with him in the 3D right there and then about it. So, one thing I've learned is don't fight the 3D. Just accept it. Say thank you, graciously accept it, because that's your thoughts. They're only acting the way that you've assumed them to act and show up. So, it's like so funny. I did know somebody who actually manifested a third party, and they were thankful. Like, oh my God, because they're thankful that their thoughts were still creating. Like, how could they be anything different? And then they said, okay, but I thank you for coming, but now I want you to go,
Right.
and you are going to go now. And and just, and in that calmness and that peace, because it's like, this, I guess this is a Bible saying, it's like, be still and know that you are God. It's like, it's rest in the confidence that your thoughts create. It's not like, okay, you know what, I'm going to say I don't care about it because I'm going to trick the universe into thinking I don't care, just to let it go. But I really want it. You can't be like that. It's like, you have to have that internal knowing and stillness that, yeah, you're God of your universe, and you've created everything that you're seeing in your quantum bubble. It's all your kingdom, and you can have what you want. You want the raccoon to show up, it's going to show up. You want third party to show up, it's going to show up. You want it to leave, it's going to leave. And just know that your Harry Potter magic wand is your thoughts.
Right.
A lot cheaper than buying a Harry Potter magic wand at Universal Studios. Let me tell you that.
No, seriously.
Puppies are $80 US, even more. I was just at Universal a few months ago.
Oh yeah, they're yeah. But exactly, it's just, I've noticed even in my own life, when I look back at all the 3Ps I've created, they were all with the person that I had in mind, the exact person that I had in mind that my person would cheat on me with. And it never failed. I'm like, it never failed. I remember one time I was talking to my best friend, and I was telling her, like, I think it's this girl. I know it's this girl. And she was like, well, how do you know it's her? And I'm like, I just know it's her. Like, I was just so, but this is like years before I actually became a master of being aware of my thoughts. And I was just so adamant, like, no, I know it's her. And then lo and behold, he literally broke up with me at work for her, and it was just all unfolding in front of my face. And I reversed the whole thing, of course, about 2 months later after that. But still, every relationship that I look back on, the person that I was nervous about and really fearful about ended up being with my person.
Yeah, because you know what? The universe always says yes to you. It'll always say yes. It doesn't know any other word. So you say, I want, a third party. Your wish is my command. You're angry, walking around angry. The universe is going to be like, you want more things to make you angry? Your wish is my command, right? I mean, everything you get, the answer is always going to be yes. You're always going to prove yourself right. So you're like, oh, you know what? Watch this. Jerry's going to go and do this. Watch it. Of course he's going to do it. You just created it. How can he not do it? He's like under your command. Right. It's like, you know what? Everyone is you pushed out. Your energy just went in him and started botting him around, and he had no choice but to do it.
Yeah.
And I think, and just, I don't know why I'm bringing religion in this today, but that's what, Jesus said on the cross. He's like, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Oh my God. I was literally thinking that. I was going to say,
I got chills. I know it, right? But it's so true. And often when, I feel like people have wronged me in my life and I'm angry, I just go back to that. And in that moment, Jesus knew everyone was him pushed out, right? Like he knew that was the story of that, right? I'm sorry, I've read the Bible, but I'm 100%, but so Neville, he, dissects the Bible, which is great and explains it. But anyway, but I mean, it's true. It's like, I forgive, everybody, I forgive, anything that I've ever manifested Andrew to do, because I created it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to be done with someone and you don't want to forgive them, that's your right too. This is your universe. If you want to say, forget it, Jerry, I'm done creating this and going through this loop with you, well, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. You don't have to. I used to think that I have to forgive everybody that wronged me. But, I realized that that's just not obtainable. I don't have to, I don't have to do that. But if I want to be friends with someone, or I want a relationship, obviously I would need to, right? So it really just depends on what your avenue is. You don't need to, fix everything in your life or be this perfect person. But, if people, it's really just taking that stance and not holding, everything against everybody, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many things in my experience alone that is just unexplainable. Like for instance, I had an ex and I kind of got nervous that he would start stalking me because I was affirming at the time that he'd be obsessed and I wasn't correcting my what type of obsession. So I started it started turning weird and I was like, okay, no. I want him to move to another state. And I had the exact state in mind, right? So time goes on, I forget about him. I talked to a mutual friend and they tell me that he actually moved to the state that I had in mind that I wanted him to move to.
Yep. I know, right?
And I
I
was
know. Yeah.
that's no coincidence.
No, never. You know, when I look back too, like there was some weird things. I remember that I had an ex and I was like, he's going to stalk me. And sure enough, he stalked me. Well, I was surprised. And then I had another ex that just really was absolutely loved me, loved me. And I remember saying one day sarcastically in passing, I'm like, he's probably got a shrine to me in his closet. And you know, this was like back when I was 19. And sure enough, you know what? One of my friends was roommates with him. And he was like, and a couple weeks later, hey, Amanda, he's got like a shrine to you in his closet. And I was like, are you kidding? He's like, yeah, with incense and everything. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
Like, you know, I know, but like, you know, and so nothing even needs to make sense, right? Like nothing. It was funny. One time me and Andrea were going to the keg, okay? And the complaint was the keg's gonna have a long lineup. You know what? We're not gonna be able to get reservations and there's gonna be like no parking. We're gonna have to wait forever. And then I remember I said something like, okay, you know what? I intend that there's like absolutely no lineup and we get in right away. So it's so funny. We went to the parking lot and there is a huge parking lot. There was no parking. And I was like, oh God, okay. So I'm thinking there's going to be a huge lineup and we're going to, you know, so I said, Andrew, drop me off at the door. You go park. I'll get in line. So I get in there and the whole restaurant was empty and we got a seat right away. So when I revised it, I forgot to revise that there was a place to park in the parking lot. So we got to the parking lot. It was completely full of people that weren't in the restaurant. And he had to park like 2 blocks away. But we got to and the restaurant was empty. We got in right away. We got the seat by the fireplace. So, you know what? You've got to, you know, the universe, I created that. I didn't clean up the parking lot part of my story. You know? So I don't know where all these, and you know what, this restaurant wasn't even in the middle of the city. It was kind of like in like this kind of like way out kind of place. So I don't even know where these people went, but there was a lot of cars there and they were not in the restaurant. But you know what? That's what, you know, the universe is going to do. It has to give you what you say. And, you know, and I think that's why being specific and adding in general intentions are really important. So when you're getting rid of your third party, write them out, but then also write what your new life looks like with your SP without that person there, right? Spend more on that, but just a little bit of thank you for coming into my life. This is what I want you to go do now. Have a nice day. Bye-bye now. You know what I mean?
And then affirm for yourself, you know what? I only experience faithful relationships. Maybe I used to experience with third parties before, but not anymore, not again. I intend to never experience that again. I intend to always have the best relationships and experiences forever. And then just always intend that. And then it's like you would always be in an experience where third parties won't even exist.
Exactly. And because I'm good enough, you know, and keep an eye on your thoughts, you know. I mean, I've been doing this for so long and you know what, and I'm a very like, you know, very good conscious creator, but I'm telling you, all I need to do is sit down and entertain some negative thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't honestly, I think what really helps me is I don't look at what I've manifested and what I haven't manifested as success and failure. I don't believe that there's such a thing. I think success and failure is just a story. It's just meaning we're putting on something. So, you know what, if I manifest something I don't want, it's a choice. I chose it. That's fine. I'm going to choose different now, right? So, you know, don't look at things you don't want showing up as a failure because you're only adding, again, taking it personal, adding an extra story onto yourself. There's no such thing as success or failure. There's just what is. And it's empty and it's meaningless. And it's only there because you thought it. And your thought becomes money. It becomes chairs. It becomes tables. It becomes little Jerry dolls. It becomes Othania. It becomes windows. It becomes doors, a house, a microwave, you know, a pen, like, you know, a coffee, you know. So their thoughts are just things, right? So I think that's important. I think once we take that sting away from making it mean that we've failed, and we're not good enough, it's so much easier to go, third party, Harry Potter wand you away.
Right. Exactly. Laugh it away. And it's like another thing that I've noticed too, what people say is my intuition. It was my intuition. I knew that was gonna happen. My intuition. And it's like you knew that was gonna happen because you created it.
Yep.
You built up the scenario in your head, and that intuition was just you creating, and then it happened because that's what you created. It wasn't like something coming to tell you like, oh, this is what's no, you created that. That is just a perfect example of just how it works. If you want to use intuition as a way for you to create, then go that may work for
Give
you.
away your power.
Right.
They're giving it away. Because things aren't coming at you and going, oh, I had a feeling that was going to happen.
Right.
Oh, no, you've already, it was already signed, sealed, and delivered by yourself to yourself.
Right.
It was you already stuck it in the mail. It's like, it's like intuition is like mailing yourself a letter and then going, oh, I didn't know I did that. Had a feeling it was going to come.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So you gotta be careful because you're literally putting it in here and then wanting to receive that for you as an experience. So that's just all that it is. So when you're with anybody, you're always the best option because you are good enough, you're valuable, you're worthy. And just keep it there. Just keep it there no matter what anxiety you feel, because I notice with myself now and my SP now and my other SPs in the past, I don't give into my fears. I don't give into that spiraling feeling of feeling like, oh my God, this is the end. And I don't give into that because next thing you know, tomorrow is actually my desire. Like I noticed that with my SP now. Like when I don't give into the spirals, literally the next day is what I want manifested from him.
Right. Right.
So I'm definitely seeing a difference that it's really the power of your thoughts. Seriously, it's
it is. You know what? It's so funny because I remember this one. I was buying something and I thought I had a coupon in my email. So she was like, she's like, oh, it's this much. I'm like, wait, I got a coupon. She's like, okay. So I'm looking for the coupon, and in my head, I'm like, I can't find it. Maybe she has it. And all of a sudden, she just says, oh, maybe I have it. And she starts looking through her papers. And then I look over and I'm like, oh, I don't think she can find it. It's taken her forever. And then all of a sudden, she says, I don't think I can find it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and look again. So I start looking again and I'm like, no, I can't find it. I intend she looks for it. And then she's like looking at me and I think I intend you look for it. She's like, I'm going to start looking for it again, and then she starts looking again. And then finally I thought to myself, as I'm looking, I'm like, this is stupid. I intend she just gives me the discount because she knows it's a discount and we both can't find it. So all of a sudden she's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to give you the discount because I know it's a discount right now, but we both can't find it, but it doesn't matter. I can override it. I know it's a sale we're having. Like, I know you know what I mean? And so it was like, as I was shifting, she was shifting. So, when you're like, oh, you know what? When you're like, oh, he doesn't want to be with her. Then all of a sudden Jerry's like, I don't want to be with her. Then all of a sudden, no, but he does want to be with her. Oh, Jerry's like, I want to be with her now. Like, I mean, you're going through this like back and forth. So are they, like, just as quickly as you are, because it's happening. Like there's like zero delay. Our delay comes from us believing there's a delay or us spiraling out, and just sometimes, it's like, so if I intend someone to buy me a coffee, okay, right now somebody's out there thinking I'm going to buy her coffee. Now, I don't think it's going to happen until I'm actually with the person. So no one's going to call me right now and go, hey man, I'm going to buy you a coffee next time I see you. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes it's already set. It just hasn't had the opportunity to present itself yet as well. You know what I mean? So, just everything's already done immediately. It's already yours. It's already done, and to come from that, and so just keep practicing your manifestations everywhere, especially when, things that you manifest that you don't want show up, but it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to deal with that, especially when you do manifest things that are, can be really bad and hurtful, it's forgive yourself really is what, and be easy on yourself, like this is supposed to be fun, enjoyable. We're supposed to love life and love being these powerful beings. And this is supposed to be our playground, right? So,
Right. And
Yeah.
just only put in front of your projection screen in your mind's eye what it is that you want as much as possible. Do things to not go looking on your person's page looking for a 3P, because then you're like waking up your antennas to keep searching and looking for 3P, because that's the order you keep putting in, and that's what you're subconsciously going to keep doing, because you're going to be compelled to do that as long as you're in that state of I need to see what's going on. So snap yourself out of it and always affirm that you're worthy. I'm worthy. I don't have to do this because I'm worthy. I just have to be me and I'm good enough. I can just be and I'm good enough.
Right, exactly. And here's a bomb I'm going to drop, and I think it's the one of the most important ones. It's going to give people an aha moment. If you're on the Facebook or whatever searching for evidence, you're actually creating it. You will find that evidence. And I used to be so bad for that. I'd be like, oh, who's this chick? Oh, who's that chick? And like the crazy thing is Andrew used his Facebook for work. So these are all obviously just like colleagues, right? Or like just networking people. And here's me creating all these negative stories. So, and you know what? Honestly, I was a little bit addicted to doing it. Like I really had to rein myself in and say, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to go on there and go, who's that? Who's this? Who's that? Or when he takes his phone, in the other room and texts, like, no, don't create those stories in those moments. Like really fight it, and it's in those moments that are so incredibly valuable. But yeah, if you're looking for evidence, you're actually creating it, because nothing is already, there's no evidence out there. Like, it's so funny. You could see a picture with your SP and another girl, and you can either think, oh, you know what? It's just a friend. He wants to be with me. It doesn't mean anything. Or it's his sister. Or you could look at it and go, oh my God, that's a third party. You get to make that choice.
Right.
Red pill or the blue pill? Like, right. What do you want to experience tomorrow?
I have a friend, and I have two friends that they date each other. And, he always, he's my friend. We go out sometimes to eat. And, she never puts a story to anyone that he hangs out with. Like, I'm not sure if she's big on manifesting, but when I observe them, I see, and she just never puts a story on anything, and they have one of the greatest relationships that I've ever came across so far. So it's really all about the meaning that you're putting on something, because when I manifested a 3P, we were all together in a room, and there was no story there with them until I created it, and I got fearful about it, and I was like, oh my God, these two are gonna hook up. And the next thing you know, they hooked up because I pasted that story on them. So I gave them the commands to hook up and do all of that. So you just got to be really careful about the command you're giving, especially when you're feeling anxiety towards something, because it's like those thoughts hit really fast and really hard. It's like really sensitive. So you got to be careful with those, especially.
Exactly. You got to be on top of yourself, so I intend that everybody watches this video has positive thoughts all day, finds it easy to have positive thoughts that make them feel good, and that you guys all feel like you're good enough to have what you want right now. Seriously, you guys are good enough, put yourself on that pedestal, start saying, I'm a catch. People want to be with me. Of course, someone will be loyal to me and treat me well because I deserve it. I'm good enough. Right. And you know what? Dear SP, they're a great person too. And that third party, you know what? They've moved on, right? Paint them a nice little picture too to say goodbye. You know what I mean? Thank them for coming and thank them for leaving, right? So, I think there's some really excellent information in this video, and I intend everybody loves it.
Right. And I intend that all of you have peace in every 3P situation, and then it finally dissolves and you finally get it and you finally understand what it took to never experience that again.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And Jerry, we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.